My name's Michael Leslie. My business, Premier Removals. We're based in Brisbane, and we are in the business of furniture removals, and we also offer a storage. After using TradieVA, and this, keep in mind, this is only early days. The biggest factor is, I'd say, at this stage, 80 to 90% of that basic administration, invoicing, quoting, responding to emails, that kind of stuff which constantly distracts you has been, for the most part, 80% and growing. That's off my table. So that the biggest impact is just not being constantly distracted every 5 minutes with a new email, with a new invoice to send out. And these matters aren't taking up my weekends to the degree they used to do. There's, at this stage, and we're improving, there's probably an hour or two over the weekend to catch up on the week's pending issues, and that's it. So on my personal life, well, really, it gives a chance to reset on the weekend, which is really and it leaves you a bit more organised and focused come the start of the week, and rested. And on the business life, it's given me the opportunity to start focusing on long-term planning, not being distracted and constantly pulled away. I can spend that time working on the objectives, the goals, and improving things in the business, as opposed to just keeping afloat. I've been working with TradieVA. It's probably getting on to about 3 months at this stage, or just over 3 months. The final straw, what led me to reach out and take on TradieVA for some assistance, was just constantly being behind in invoicing, constantly being behind even in just day-to-day things like confirming jobs and taking deposits, and just the most simple administration. I was behind, just constantly being chasing my tail with those issues. I was not focusing on other areas of the business and growth and developing things. The impact that was having financially and personally, well, personally above all, it was Sundays, instead of relaxing a little bit, Sundays were spent doing sometimes 5, 6, 7 hours of admin of a Sunday evening, when everybody else is relaxing, having a drink, going for a meal. I was catching up on the admin. It had been a problem probably for at least a year, but it was getting to the stage at the end of last year where it was becoming a big problem. So going from being a problem to really a big stress in my personal life. In terms of fixing that problem, I'd had plenty of ideas, but I hadn't really tried anything else. Even just trying something else takes time. It takes effort. It takes time to set up another system. So that time wasn't there. So I had the ideas, but hadn't actually had the opportunity to try to implement any sort of solutions. There's been quite a few things that have changed since using TradieVA. Client experience has definitely improved, especially their day-to-day questions about arrival time and changing dates. People are getting responded to a lot quicker. But I'd say the biggest improvement since using TradieVA has been the speed of invoicing. Some weeks we do over half of our work is to account customers, and the quicker those invoices get out, the quicker we're getting paid. So it's taken the payment cycle from 3 months, if the invoice isn't sent immediately, down to much more reasonable 4-week terms. What I'm looking forward to in the future, I'm actually taking the opportunity now to change our processes and change our software, and really give my assistant tools which can take her from being an assistant to sort of more of an operations type role to a much more active and important role. And that's happening at the moment. If someone's sitting on the fence about using TradieVA, I wouldn't hesitate. But you definitely want to make sure you have a little bit of time. But really, when I began with TradieVA, it was right in our peak season, and with an hour or two per week, an hour or two to meet and implement a few processes, I was able to begin. So what had me on the fence initially was the concern, when am I going to implement this? And when I actually pulled the trigger, I would say maximum it required maybe an hour, 2 hours extra time in the initial stages. It's great value financially, and it's not a big investment in time. You really don't have to do anything different than your normal processes, and you'll be underway to a much better sort of situation for your own business. In terms of specific things that Dom's my assistant, that she's done, when I started, it was really peak season, so we were really disjointed and behind. So she made a pretty good effort to get on top and understand how the business works. In her downtime, when she's not following up on things and when she's not receiving instructions, she's actually making some improvements to things like the way we track our storage. She's spent time and thought about a more straightforward, more accurate process to track storage. So beyond the simple tasks that she's tasked with, she's also proactive. TradieVA has chosen someone who's actually proactive and can actually make use of their time without being micromanaged. They've chosen someone who is able to analyze and look at the bigger picture and even suggest improvements. So your assistant is not someone you've got to order around, but rather you've got to just give them the tools and then they actually take the reins. It's not an extra staff member to manage. It really has been a big impact so far. I'm really focused on changing our software over, giving her the tools so that she can be more in tune and more in tune of what's happening and more able to communicate and touch base with customers and I guess be more active in her role. But I would say in the short time that we've been working, it's been a massive improvement. It's taken a big weight off my shoulders, so to speak.